Those of you who've been around Aquaholic for a little while will know that I love my classic Sunseekers. And this is fantastic. This is a 2001 Superhawk 50. Now Sunseeker have a reputation as being a very sporty brand, and this is exactly why, because they used to build a lot of stuff like this. It is a pure go fast machine, but it's got luxury with it and quality. This is kind of your aquatic Aston Martin. It's fantastic. It looks absolutely beautiful. I really like the classic dark blue and white colour scheme. It's what they all seem to have back in the day. And it's just an amazing machine. But I'm starting the tour down here for two reasons. Firstly, I want to show you this hull. It's a proper deep V. Look at that. That is designed to cleave the water. That's designed so that when it starts to chop up, you don't need to slow down. You just slice through it. And look at the styling of it. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's no compromise. It's just a performance machine. It makes no apologies. It is what it is, and it's stunning. But there's something else I need to show you, and that's at the aft end. And it's the other part of the high performance equation, because this has got 3 engines running surface drives. Look at this. Now, we haven't had these on Aquaholic before. You can see the third one over there now. These beautiful propellers, these roller propellers. They are a work of art all of their own. And the idea of these is for very, very high performance boats. And it's, if you look at where the hull is and the water streams off, it seems kind of counterproductive, but in fact when these are running really fast, you've only got kind of half the prop in the water and half the prop is in the air. And it sounds daft, you think, well, it's got less grip, but it works. And it actually means you have less drag, because all of this is kind of clear of the water. You imagine the water streams out from underneath when the boat's on the plane, gets flicked by the bottom of the prop, fired backwards, and away you go. So there's very, very little drag. It makes them very efficient, and that's what gives them, of course, the speed. This is very popular on racing boats. They do a lot of these surface drives, and these are the rudders that you steer with. So that's quite a setup. And again, it's all part of the no compromise high performance ethos of this boat. Let's go and look on board, shall we? Now, rather than haul myself up as I have done previously onto the boardwalk, which is over there, we're going to take a slightly more comfortable walk around this way, but I'll speed it up for you. There she is, triple trouble. Appropriate given the triple engines, but it looks no less dramatic from up here, does it? Absolutely amazing machines. That is pure muscle. Let's go around this side, take a look down. We don't usually use the word sexy to describe boats, but I think it's very appropriate here. As I say, she's 2001 and she's very much of that era. So you got things like little winglets on the radar arch, which they all had back then. And the interior as well, it's very much Sunseeker of that era. And none the worse for it. So we've got a boarding ladder here. That's what's underneath there. I like these little fellas. It's almost like a swimming pool, makes it much easier to get out of the water. Come on here, engines are under there. I shall show you those, of course. And then if we head here, now for a 50-foot boat she's very narrow because it is all about speed. Obviously the fatter you make it, the more drag you get. The thinner and more pencil-like, the better sea keeping and the better performance. So you've got to look at this like a waterborne, or I say like a waterborne Aston Martin really. It's not about space, it's about speed and style. And it has both of those things absolutely in spades. But actually it's pretty comfortable. You've got these lovely deep seats all the way around here. Big sun pad out over the engines, of course, at the back. This is quite interesting. If you lift this one here up, I quite like this idea because that lifts up like so, and then if I can do this with one hand holding a GoPro, that, oh, there we go, cockpit table, and that slots back in there. That folds out. Now if, like me, you spend your time lugging a cockpit table up from the cabin and occasionally knocking it into things and swearing, you'll understand just what a great idea that is. There's a wet bar opposite it, so that's got your sink and a little fridge, top-loading fridge over on that side. Champagne ready to go. And in fact, this one's had an ice maker fitted as well. As I say, it is a luxury high performance boat. It's not a stripped out racer by any stretch of the imagination. And then look at this helm. Again, classic Sunseeker of the era, with this, I think it's walnut finish across here. And these wonderful drop bolster seats. So these drop down, so you can stand at the helm where you can sit, and they wrap right around you. And again, the Sunseeker steering wheel. If you've been around Sunseekers for a while, you'll recognise that straight away. And then over here are the engine controls. Now what you have here is 6 levers. The reason for this is because traditionally with engines, what you typically have is it starts up, you're in neutral, you push it forward into gear and then throttle up, or into reverse into gear and throttle up astern. And that only gives you a small window of actual throttle operation, which is fine on a cruising machine, but on a high performance machine where you want more control, you split these off so that that whole range there, right up to the front, is just throttle. It gives you a lot more control. And if you listen, you can hear there's on a ratchet, so again it gives you more control. Trim tab controls are there, so when your throttle's forward, your hand is there, you can get to the tabs nice and easily. That one is depth. There's a bow thruster on this one, which is a pretty useful thing because it's a very long bow. A whole slew of engine instrumentation, because of course we're monitoring 3 engines here. So that is why we have got rev counter, rev counter, rev counter, speed, fuel tanks, one each side, and then we've got volt, volt, volt. We've got water temperature, 3 of those, oil pressure, 3 of those. You've got trim as well, of course. So yeah, an awful lot going on. But of course that's what we get with 3 engines. I like that we've done these switch gear around here. And this one's even got an autopilot on it. So in fact you could do some serious cruising with this. It's got the Axiom Raymarine. That's not original, that's been upgraded, because that didn't exist, the Axiom unit, when this boat came out. And another one in fact up there. That's interesting. I wonder if it's got a radar on it. We'll have a look on the outside when we go around. But possibly that's why it's got 2 displays, so you can split those off if you want to. So that is, I think, a pretty cool cockpit. Let's go and look inside. Now, it is a 50-foot boat, but as I mentioned, it is a low, narrow 50-foot boat, and so it's very much the sort of coupe style, but they really have done it with style. Look at this. I really love, and I remember seeing these in the brochures at the time, these headrests that they put on the seats all the way around. It just makes that so comfortable and cosy. I think that's fantastic. There's a TV down here, and a table that folds, as you can see. Over on this side is the galley area, so we've got a fridge, we've got electric hob, there is a microwave tucked in behind here, and there's also a little sink underneath there. But look at the quality of this woodwork, look at these cappings, love all this. Stunning, absolutely stunning. We've got deck hatches for a bit of ventilation and a bit more light. There's a load of light in here as well, as you can see. Heads is in here. Not quite sure what that is, inflatable dinghy perhaps. And there's a shower as well, in fact. If I look up around there, there we go, you can see that fella. Toilet is in underneath whatever the hell that is. And then the sink over here. And you can see the way the floor is sculpted, because of course that V comes up so sharply to give it that amazing seakeeping. The floor couldn't run flat across. They've had to put this channel in to give you the headroom. And then you step up to these areas here. That's why that's shaped like that. And the headroom, in fact, talking of that, we are a little bit less than 6 foot. I'm 6'2". There's about probably 5'10", something like that in here, I would think. And then up here, owner's cabin, and that I am pretty sure is the infill cushion, so that you can make this into a sleeping area here as well, because there's no mid cabin on this one because it's such a low, narrow boat. So this is the only permanent bed in it, and this can be converted. But typically these are run by perhaps a couple, and they'll keep a boat like this out in the Med, go out to it and just enjoy blasting up and down the Mediterranean in the sunshine. Or, you know, the UK, why not? I'd have this in the UK, no problem at all. Cosy, that's all you need, isn't it? Storage in places like that. Again, those little gas struts everywhere. As I say, it is a quality item. It's not a stripped out racer. What have we got here? Nothing at all. Bit more storage over on that side, and then there is also hanging locker just there. You've got to view this as the ultimate weekender, the ultimate big speedboat, money no object. But as I say, for a couple, there's no reason at all why you couldn't spend a week or a fortnight or whatever you like on this, because there's actually plenty of space. It's just a little bit compromised in height, and you haven't got that mid cabin. But you know, this was never supposed to be a cruiser, and it isn't. Air conditioning on this one, so that's what that control there is, and there's a vent for it just there. But you want to see those engines, don't you? Yeah, me too. Okay, so engine hatch is that one. So down in here, obviously you can lift that box completely out, is Yanmar 6LY2-STE diesel engines. 3 of them, and they are giving a top speed of, well, they've got to be up towards 50 knots for this, I would imagine. I mean, it is a proper flying machine. Here we go, you can see a bit better now. So you've got those 2 engines there, and another one down over here, look at that. Let's get around the back, see if we can see maybe a bit better actually. I think if I lower the old GoPro in this way, yeah, there we go. Now you can see them properly. I love the red engine room. This is again a classic Sunseeker Superhawk thing. They always had the red gel coat in the engine room on the floor. Those are beasts, aren't they? Now the interesting thing with these is that they have 2-speed gearboxes on each of the engines. So you have 1 gear for getting the boat up onto the plane and getting it going, and then once she's up to speed and leveled out, you hit, it's like an overdrive button, and that drops the revs down, and suddenly you've got a whole extra tranche of power and speed, and that's what takes it up to that top speed. Be a really, really exciting boat to drive. So that is the engines. It strikes me that the only thing we haven't seen is the outside. So let's take a walk up to the bow, and I think we'll finish off up there. So teak side decks on this one. It does have the radar. I thought it did. There we go. I think that's probably why they put those 2 screens on. You can split the screens, but of course it makes it much easier if you've got 2. This is this winged arch that I mentioned. That little fella there is not a flying saucer. That's the TV aerial. Searchlight over on that side, and that is the actual radar scanner itself. And of course your VHF aerial and your GPS is on here as well. Let's go right up to the bow, because this is yet another angle where you really get an appreciation of what this boat is all about. Look at that. That's amazing. Let's wander up here. You can put sunbathing cushions on here if you want. I don't think this one's got them because there's no poppers for them, but they could be easily fitted. And that's why it's got these cup holders on here. Let's come right up to the front. That's the hatch over that forward cabin. And then up here you've got a power anchor winch. That's why it's got these buttons here, foot operated buttons. And the winch itself lives in there, and the anchor chain and the locker ahead of it. But I think the final view, I love these cleats again, very much of the era. I think the final view that you need to see of this boat is from here. Look at that. That is a thing of beauty, isn't it? Unbelievable. Very nice indeed. So there we go. Huge thanks to boats.co.uk. They've got this one for sale. I'll put a link to those guys in the description, and huge thanks as ever to you guys for watching. We'll catch you on another one of these very soon, but let me know what you think of this one in the comments. Are you as in love as I am? Catch you soon. Cheers, bye-bye.